Imagine waking up one day and the feds just raiding your house and taking your husband away, and they're telling you can't live in this house right now because we have a warrant to search everything and you need to get out. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, Corey, tell me about your childhood. Where did you grow up? What was your family dynamic like?
Oh, straight into it.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on Long Island, New York, a fellow Long Islander.
Shout out Long Island.
Shout out Long Island, Glen Cove, New York. The question was what my family dynamic?
Yeah, like what was your upbringing like?
I was adopted at birth. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and adopted into a beautiful family, the Heyman family. I have a sister. She's 3 years older than me. She was also adopted. She's from Phoenix, Arizona. My dad is an entrepreneur. He just retired. An executive recruiting business, like a headhunter. Just, typical middle class family, Long Island.
In Glen Cove.
Now,
Did your older sister, who was also adopted, by any chance have blonde hair as well?
She was strawberry blonde, but if you saw a photo of all of us, you would have no idea we were adopted.
Oh,
like
okay.
Kids used to not believe us when we told them we were adopted.
Funny.
Yeah.
So what was that like growing up? No, you knew you were adopted, or did you find out later in life?
I knew since the time I can understand things. My parents gave me a letter from my birth mom. It was like my proudest thing when I was a kid. I just thought it made me so special and different. So I would introduce myself to a kid on the playground and say, "Hi, I'm Corey. I'm adopted," and like really embarrass my parents. I was excited about it. I thought it was something that made me different. My letter that I had said, "If you ever want to find me, here's how. I gave you up because I couldn't give you the life that I wanted to, and I chose these people specifically because they can." And that was, I landed in a really beautiful family. It's a strange thing being adopted. There's a book about it called The Primal Wound, and it's all about when a baby is born and taken away from their mother, there is an immediate abandonment wound that is just there forever. And I think that it didn't really manifest in me until later in life. In adolescence, I had a very hard time, and I don't know if it was specifically because I was adopted, but it definitely has impacted me and the way that I form relationships. And
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do you think you used the overextending to someone at a young age, or like, I'm Corey and I'm adopted? Like, you think you kind of use that as a way to just break the ice automatically because it was bothersome, or no? Do you think you were pretty comfortable with it and then?
I think I was comfortable with it.
Okay.
I was excited about it.
Okay.
I have always been someone who's an oversharer, who just kind of spills my guts immediately. And I just did that on the playground as a kid,
Are you still that way?
I am. Yeah.
That's good, especially, well, not to spoil anything, but in sobriety, that's good. So, okay, so you are living in Long Island, adopted, you and your sister, and what was the relationship with, relationship like with your adopted parents?
They're my parents. They're mom and dad. I never thought of them any differently. My dad is my absolute hero, and my mom is my biggest cheerleader. And we went through some rough patches. My mental health kind of took a nosedive when I was in adolescence, but they have loved me as if I was their own. We're a family. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So where did you go to college, or?
I did.
What was high school into college like for you?
Oh, dark.
I asked that because mine was dark too.
Dark.
Like not knowing who I was as a person, trying to find who I was.
Yeah. I was very lost. I was very, very lost. When I was like 12, 13, I became super depressed. and I isolated, and my sister was going through her own struggles, and I turned inward and she kind of raged outward, and it was just not a happy time. I became really suicidal, not to like bring down the mood a ton. I was really struggling with my mental health, and they put me on antidepressants, and I don't know how much that helped or hurt, because a side effect of antidepressants is suicide ideation, and I was just consumed with the thought of like not being here anymore. And I had this thought that was just this obsessive thought, this intrusive thought that I want to go home. And even when I was home, like home was somewhere else, and I didn't know where really that was, but I just knew that it wasn't where I was. And I had a few suicide attempts. It was really traumatic for my whole family. And I was in and out of psych wards, late high school. And then I started drinking because I needed oblivion. Like, the word oblivion was like the only thing that existed in my mind. And I failed at killing myself. And so drinking was my answer.
Do you remember your first drink?
Yeah, oh man.
That I have arrived moment.
I don't know that my first drink felt like an I have arrived moment, but it did get me out of myself. I was maybe 12 years old. There was a time where there was a lot of Absolute vodka in my house, and I remember just chugging it and then disappearing, and like, that is what I wanted.
My parents used to have wild turkey in their closet downstairs. Oh, it was disgusting. Hey, whatever. As long as it was alcohol and it got you drunk, it was good.
Yeah, it didn't really matter.
So so when you had your first drink, you remember it just everything went away.
Yeah.
All of those thoughts. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but from my experience, it took away the chaos that was going on in my head.
Yeah. Just shut it all up for a little bit.
Yeah. How did that feel? And then, so how were you able to operate on a day-to-day basis? Did alcohol take over right away, or was it like a weekend thing in the beginning?
It was a weekend thing. I mean, I was a blackout drinker from the very start, so there was no way that I was going to be able to function and drink at all. I just couldn't. I couldn't do that. So yeah, it was a weekend thing. It was like a let's, tell our parents we're going to the movies and go to the parking garage and ask a stranger for a movie ticket stub, to like prove where you were. We hung out in the woods a lot.
Same.
Very unsafe thinking back on it, but I don't know, kind of felt invincible. Yeah.
I feel like we hung out in the woods a lot too. But I feel like it was like a confined area and like a safe area.
Yeah, it's like in the suburbs, like off a parking lot.
Yeah.
But the woods back, yeah.
And on Long Island.
On Long Island, yeah. Similar experience.
So you graduate high school.
Yes.
You're drinking on the weekends. And where did you go to college?
I went to Gettysburg College. That is where my dad went. My dad has this group of friends. He went to college 50 years ago. Can you believe that? 50 years. And he has this group of friends that he has been friends with for 50 years. They are like family to him and to me. I have known them my entire life. They all came from Gettysburg College. So I grew up seeing that community that he built and saying, I want that. I did not have that experience when I went to college. But that's why I went there. I went there because I was like, that is amazing. The fact that he has all these friends that will do anything for him, that they all love each other so much, But I was not in a place to like form community.
Yeah.
When I was 18 years old, I was just, everything was dim and dark. But I went to a school where drinking was like the thing. I'm sure a lot of colleges are like that, but it was like, everyone was in a frat. All the frats had parties all the time. It was very socially acceptable to black out. It was like, when are we blacking out? And I was like, oh, okay, these are my people. Like, I can get by like this. yeah, I drank a lot in college, but everybody did, so no one was that worried about me, which was nice.
It's crazy because you talk about like let's black out this weekend. Let's, get fucked up tonight, and like you were going hard. And I went to Albany. It was the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is very common. Across
Yeah.
all universities and colleges in the
There's
US.
ragers.
And I have cousins who are in college now, but like let's say they just, they're 20 now. Like 2 years ago, I remember saying to my parents or my mom being like, "Oh, so and so just went off to college." I'm like, they're 18 and they
Yeah.
went to college and they still look like a baby. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking and I'm like, they look like that was me at 18.
Yeah, I was a baby.
And
yeah.
I was like, what is your thought on college in the U.S.? Like the freedom that they give you at such a young age to go, the autonomy to do whatever the hell you want.
Oh.
I became a drug addict.
But also, I think that you need to be thrown into the fire in order to grow and learn and like have life experience. And I don't know. I'm grateful for my experience. I definitely think that I mean, it was dangerous. It was dangerous, and what I was doing was dangerous. But I don't know if it's the college system's fault.
So, okay, so you're in college, you're
Mm-hmm.
at Gettysburg, and when did you start to really think twice about your drinking and your partying? What year in college?
Oh, I mean, I knew that my drinking was not something that was sustainable when I graduated and started life, which was a terrifying thought. When I graduated, I had a total panic attack and a meltdown because I realized I was going to have to function in society, and I was not prepared for that. College did not prepare me for that. I just had no idea what I was going to do. I knew that I couldn't continue drinking the way that I was.
You knew it wasn't going to be sustainable once you graduated and you started to have a panic attack because you had to function in the real world.
Yeah, I was sitting at my college graduation in full-blown panic mode. I refused to take photos with my family. My sister handed me flowers, and I said, "I hate flowers." I had a breakdown at my college graduation because I just knew that I was going to have to figure it out, and I knew that I couldn't figure it out. And I didn't know what to do, where to turn, who to talk to, how to talk to about it. A year prior, my junior year, I was home for summer break and went out drinking and got in my car and totaled 3 cars less than a block from the bar. 2 of them were parked and 1 of them was mine. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't get hurt. It's insane how that happened. But that is a pretty life-altering experience. One might say that would make someone stop drinking. When that happened, I remember my dad sitting me down and saying, "You cannot go to any bars. You cannot drink at all. You have to join, some sort of recovery program. You have to get a counselor." And I remember just thinking that there's no way I'm going to stop drinking. So then my game plan was like, how do I still drink and get around all of this? So my senior year of college, I was getting drug tested once a week. And the ethanol test, ethanol lasts in your body for 4 days or whatever. So I had to choose the days out of the week where I would be able to drink. And I remember sitting on the floor of my dorm room just chugging cranberry juice. And I was existing just to drink at that point. So then when graduation came, I was shocked. Now what? I got a job in advertising in Manhattan where drinking was the thing. They brought us to happy hours.
Did you work at an advertising agency?
I did.
I think we crossed paths at one point.
Really?
Yeah, when I saw your name, I was like, wait a minute, this name sounds really familiar.
I didn't last very long.
Okay, well,
I was
did
a
you
media
stay?
buyer.
Okay.
at Group M, Midas Exchange.
I worked with them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
All right, we could talk offline more.
Yeah.
About, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I mean, that's the perfect job to have if you're a drinker.
It really was. My first day, the like CEO of the company got blacked out, drunk, was crying about her boyfriend, and I was like, "Ha, this is
amazing.
it. This is it."
Yep.
Like I figured out how to do it.
Crying about her boyfriend.
I didn't last at that job that long, maybe like a year and a half, because everyone was drinking a lot, but I was drinking more, and I was unable to show up for things.
Wait, was it like 2011, 2010, 2011, 2012?
I graduated in 2013.
13.
So it was,
Okay, maybe it was
13 to 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, 13 to 14, I worked for the advertising agency, and I remember at one point asking them, am I going to get fired? And my boss said to me, you would have to do something really, really bad to get fired from this place. And then I got fired like a month later.
Are you allowed to share what happened? Or is it something you'd rather not?
I was in an abusive relationship with this crazy man who like wouldn't really let me go to work. And I don't know that I was trying that hard to go to work. It was just a really dark, strange time in my life. Sometimes if I tell that story, people just don't believe me. I don't often tell the whole story.
Yeah.
But the day that I got fired, we were supposed to go to the Hamptons to go on some wine tour. And I didn't show up. And when I didn't show up, they were like, listen, you can't no call, no show, for weeks at a time. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
Not kosher.
No, but I would black out at MLB parties and make a fool of myself. And it's just, I remember hysterically crying on the ground at Grand Central Station because I thought it was Penn Station and I couldn't get back to Long Island and I didn't know how to do it. And this couple put me in a cab, but I was calling everyone I knew, trying to get home. And just like, that's just how I was when I drank.
Yeah.
It was a shit show. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. How long did that go on for?
So I got sober October 26th, 2014.
Yep. You're coming up
so
on 10 years.
I'm coming up on 10 years in October.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
So go ahead. So about a year or two then it lasted?
It was a year and a half.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that every day?
No. Definitely not every day, but multiple times a week.
When did you realize, and I don't know if you identify as an alcoholic.
I do.
Okay. When did you realize that you were an alcoholic?
I think I just knew it in my bones. I don't know that there was one time when I realized. When I got my first DUI and there was not an inkling of maybe I should stop this, was like a pretty clear, that's pretty clear. I don't know that it gets much more clear than that. Like there was no consequence that I was facing that made me reconsider. And then towards the end, I tried to stop and I couldn't. And when I tried to stop and I couldn't, it was loud and clear. And I didn't believe that I could stop. And my plan was just to kill myself because I just didn't know. I didn't see any other way out. Like, utter hopelessness towards the end.
The obsessive compulsivity of the disease of alcoholism was in full effect.
Yes.
When and how did you find sobriety?
I got a second DUI in October of 2014. And in New York, when you get 2 DUIs within 3 years, it's an automatic felony. And basically, they said you're going to go to prison for 4 years unless you go to treatment. And, maybe they'll give you a lesser sentence if you go to treatment. So at that point, I had, left my roommates, and I was living in Brooklyn. They were like, it was just a mess. It was a mess. I kind of burned everything to the ground. I didn't have a whole lot. I had gotten fired, that abusive relationship. I had zero money. I had like negative money. My friends were not interested really in me anymore, and I was kind of sick of myself. So I went to treatment, and my plan was never to get sober or to give it a shot at all. I was there. So I went to Pennsylvania. They sent me to Florida. I was
Karen?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a Karen alum. All right.
Yes.
And then you got renaissanced.
I did. I got saunced.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
My two guests ago got renaissanced.
Mm-hmm.
Joe. Mm-hmm. So go ahead. It's a great program. I mean, for the listeners, if you're struggling and you're in the Northeast, Karen is amazing. For me, it was one of the most amazing experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, it's a great place. My therapist used to be the clinical director there. I taught yoga there for 2.5 years. I just stopped a few weeks ago, actually. But yeah, so I wound up there, and basically in this place, there was not a whole lot to do, but they allowed you to go on pass with other people. So they allowed you to go out. And the only people who would take me out were going to take me to, like recovery meetings. And that's not something I was super interested in, but I was kind of biding my time until I could kill myself, to be honest. But so I started going, and I was really depressed, and I thought everyone was lying about feeling happy or fulfilled. And I wasn't buying in, but I was doing just the right amount so that these people would still keep taking me on pass, because I didn't want to just sit around. And I remember I used to wake up and just think about not being here anymore. I used to wake up and just think about my plan and how I was going to die. And then one day I remember waking up and feeling okay. Not feeling super jazzed about life, not feeling really, really happy, but just feeling base level like, okay, like I can take on the day. And then I thought, well, there must be something to this. And then I started buying in just a little bit more, and I started being able to breathe again. And I started being able to exist without these intrusive thoughts of like hopelessness and despair. Because that's just kind of where I was living. And the sun got a little bit brighter, and there was a little bit more color in my day. And, then it just kind of continued, and I started doing more and more work, and I started finding a relationship with something bigger that made my world a whole lot brighter, and genuinely asking people for help and accepting that help.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
We talk about God on this show.
Yes.
Big time. So honestly, for me, even when starting this show a few months ago, I've like reinvented my connection. I mean, I've always had a higher power being in sobriety, but like with God and like the Catholic Church, not saying you're Catholic, but whatever. Yeah, it really is impactful. I mean, I would always try to control the future. It was always my will. It was and once I actually started turning things over in sobriety, that's when I stopped trying to control the results.
Right.
And I just take the action.
Yeah.
And things worked out fine. And my days became more manageable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So you talked about in the beginning how, you just wanted the day passes, you were having these horrible thoughts, and then things started to slowly get better for you, and there was a little more hope day after day. Mm-hmm. When was that period in your sobriety, and when did you feel like you pulled yourself out of it and you were saying, okay, I'm ready to stay sober now? At what point in your sobriety?
I think maybe 4 months in. And I don't think I pulled myself out of it. I think God pulled me out of it, and the community around me pulled me out of it. And, they say stay in the day. I don't remember having a conscious thought like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm going to do now forever. But I just started doing what the people around me were suggesting of me, and kind of looking at my life and looking at my behavior and my patterns and how I was showing up in the world and how I was treating others. And I started, bringing God and love into those things and kind of cleaning up a lot of the things that I had burned down before I left it all behind. And as the feeling of, oh, I can breathe again, oh, the sun is shining, got bigger for me and louder for me, I started kind of grasping a little bit tighter to this sobriety thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautifully said. So in the past 10 years, at what point did you, so for me, drinking, drugs, those were all symptoms. Those were things that I did to numb the deep-rooted pain and
Yeah.
the things that I had, the trauma, the, insecurities, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start to make that realization that you were just masking and with drugs or alcohol, not putting words in your mouth,
Uh-huh.
but when did that happen for you when you started to really get to the root of what was going on deep down?
It's a good question. I've been in therapy a very long time. I've been in therapy since I was, I don't know, maybe 10 years old. And so I have, I think, a lot of insight into who I am as a person and, whatever trauma that I've had, how it kind of comes out sideways in my life. And I think I've worked through a lot of that stuff. But my therapist, when I was in treatment, looked into my soul and saw who I was and told me about myself in a way that no one had ever done that. And I think working with a therapist who can do that, it feels like a superpower. I have no idea how he does that. But it really, really helped me, I think that recovery is amazing, but there's a lot of other things that you can be doing as well to take care of yourself and to feel good inside your head. It can be a really crazy place. I don't know if I answered the question.
No. There was no right or wrong answer. It was your experience and kind of, I mean, you make a very good point. It's not just, when I put down alcohol, it wasn't just about all about sobriety. It was staying sober, of course, because my life would go down the tubes if I picked up a drink again. Right. But there were other things that I took part in that helped me kind of be the complete self that I was.
Yeah.
Prior to everything, happening and the alcoholism starting. Yes, I do believe it's a disease. However, there are other ways to, find yourself, whether it's sports, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, it's mind, body, and soul, right?
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. But so you own a business.
I do.
Now, when did you become an entrepreneur?
4 years ago, 4.5 years ago.
Would you have been able, this is such a dumb question, but I got to ask it. Would you have been able to be an entrepreneur while you were drinking?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And to go back to what you were saying, the alcohol was never my problem. It was me. And, I was sick. I have something wrong with me, and filling it with something greater, if you want to call it God or whatever, helped me and brought me back to myself. It was masked with, just darkness and depression, and the alcohol got me out of that. But figuring out the concoction for what makes me feel good and what makes me wake up in the morning and ready to take on the day was huge for me. And it didn't start immediately when I put down the alcohol. It's been a journey. It's, it was, I think, a few years before I found the exact right thing. But starting my business was certainly not something that I could do when I was drinking. I don't think it was something that I could do even 2 years into sobriety, 3 years. And that's not due to sobriety. It's just due to the way that my life has unfolded. My life has been a series of like deaths and rebirths and transformations. And I think that I needed to go through a lot of suffering and a lot of pain in order to bring me to the place that I am today. And that experience, I think, helps me in my business, which is teaching yoga and running a wellness market, a wellness festival. I think that I was given the tools to be successful at this based on all of the suffering that, I've gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has that been an outlet in your sobriety, like the wellness space and, obviously making it your full-time job, but
Yeah.
has that been a form of meditation for yourself and helped you kind of bridge back to life?
Yoga for sure. I think that yoga and recovery are so similar. It's, they say like many rivers, same ocean. We're all just trying to find a pathway to something greater, and we're literally all doing the same thing, whether it's religion or, whatever it is. The wellness festival that I put on is definitely what some people use it as a tool for, for finding that self-care and meditation and stuff. For me, it's not meditative because it's work and it's stressful.
Yeah.
But for sure, I created exactly what I wanted to see in the world. Absolutely. Because I think that people need it. I think that the community aspect is so huge. We have Renaissance come, the treatment center that I went to, we have them come and volunteer once a month. And the fact that they get to come to a space where people are having fun, letting loose, being themselves, getting weird without any substances is so huge for someone who's new.
Yeah,
to
that's a
recovery
that's a
to
miracle.
see that. So it's cool they get to see that. I didn't get to see that for a little bit.
It's funny, you talked about in the very beginning when you got sober, like other people being happy. You didn't say this verbatim, but basically you didn't believe that they were probably happy or they were acting or faking it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I experienced. I went to a self-help meeting very early on in sobriety,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember walking in and someone was like, "Hi, I'm Bob. Nice to meet you," with a huge smile. You know how they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying, there is no way that dude is completely sober. Like, he may not be drinking alcohol, but he's definitely on Xanax or something. He's got to be on some kind of mood or mind-altering substance. And then, because I couldn't fathom the thought of someone being genuinely happy and not being on anything.
Right.
That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. I couldn't comprehend that. And to become that rocky point in the beginning of sobriety where you're just holding on, you have 70 days, 75 days, 80 days. And you know how many relapses I've had? I started going to meetings probably 3 years before I achieved some kind of significant sobriety time. And it was just like 60 days relapse, 90 days relapse, 70 days relapse. And I failed at that. I mean, listen, I learned from it. It wasn't all completely a failure, but I basically said to myself, like, it's not going to get any better. And I let go. I didn't hold on. And it could have been, if I relapsed at 76 days, who knows, at 77 days, I could have had that major shift in my sobriety. So, and I say that for the listener, hold on.
Yeah.
Just keep holding on. It will eventually get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And it's a miracle. It's a beautiful thing. What do you do today to help maintain your self-wellness and the health of Corey?
I do so much. Because that is my priority. If I'm not okay, then I'm not going to be able to keep doing what I'm doing that I see as helping a lot of people. I move my body, which is so huge for me. I do a lot of different things, but I do lots of yoga. I just got into swimming again. So I've been doing this master's program, which has been really, really cool. I go to the sunrise as often as I can, and I sit and I watch, and I am in awe and wonder, and that is like my safe space. That fills my cup. I love to read. I love to be in the sun and my community, my friends, spending quality time with them and helping other people, whether it's taking a girl who's struggling to coffee or, just talking to a stranger who looks like they're having a rough day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community.
Mm-hmm.
You have a whole gang of friends.
I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do you live in Delray?
I do.
Okay, so are you right near the beach or a few
I'm
blocks
pretty close.
Oh, it's beautiful
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
Do all your friends live right around you?
No, but they all come over.
There you go. You're in the prime location. They come
Yeah.
and see you.
Yeah.
Do you surf at all?
I don't surf.
Long Island doesn't have horrible surfing in the summer.
Yeah, but on Long Island, going on the beach is such a whole to-do.
Well, you were on the North Shore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm a South Shore boy.
Yeah,
It was
for
very easy.
us, it was like, ugh.
Do you want to hear something crazy? I grew up. Did you hear about the Long Island serial killer?
I'm familiar.
Yeah, I grew up right where he was hiding those bodies.
Oh.
Right near Gilgo
Beach. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that brush, I've driven by there
That's so wild.
probably over 100 to 150 times. Yeah.
That's crazy.
As a kid, going to the beach, cutting school, going to the beach. It's insane.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Rex Heuermann. Insane. And now they're saying his daughter may have played a role in it. I don't know if you
No.
saw it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm waiting for the documentary to come out.
Is it a Netflix
I
documentary?
have no idea. I'm just assuming there's
Someone
going to
will
be
do
one.
it. Yeah. Someone will buy the rights, and I think they may actually be doing one with the wife. So
Interesting.
yeah,
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I know someone that knows someone. I can't say. I mean, I'll tell you off camera, but
You got the inside scoop.
yeah. Well, Long Island, everyone knows everyone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
You just haven't been there in 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're doing a documentary with the wife right now.
Cool.
Yeah, she's the only innocent one in the family.
Crazy.
Imagine waking up one day and the feds just raiding your house and taking your husband away, and they're telling you can't live in this house right now because we have a warrant to search everything and you need to get out.
Literally, you don't know anybody. Like, the trust issues that woman probably has. Like, I almost married a dude that was living a total double life, and I had no idea. Now, I think I have, ignored some red flags. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I was 2 months out from a wedding. It was all planned, paid for, and he was living a total double life. And there was a moment where I was like, oh, my God, I have no idea who I'm sleeping next to at night. This is very small scale compared to the Long Island serial killer.
Yeah.
But it's just wild. You think you know someone.
I mean, look, on that scale, regardless if it's murdering someone, living a double life, it's another personality that person has.
Oh,
That's the scary thing.
So scary. Yeah.
That's crazy. You think you know someone.
Wild.
It's funny, not to make this all about sobriety, but you get sober and then you have life on life's terms. And then these are all now other terms. And this is just now life. You're now on base sea level, right? Homeostasis. And you are now having to go live your life.
Yeah.
And then you have all this other set of problems or potential things that could happen or contingencies down the road that could just sidetrack you.
Oh, yeah. I've been through a lot of crazy ups and downs in my sobriety, for sure. It's just life. It's just life.
How has dating been for you in South Florida?
Oh, so that experience happened to me 6.5 years ago.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay. It literally brought me to where I am. It's like all of these crazy things that you think you're not going to be able to get through bring you to something better every time if you let them. And I firmly believe that. I just had an astrology reading the other day, and she brought my natal chart, and it was, I don't know a whole lot about it, but the word transform was on it all over it. It's like these deaths and these rebirths is like, this is what my life was mapped out to be. Back to your question about dating, it's been a shit show.
Has it been rampant mental health on the male side down in South Florida?
I don't know. Yes and no. You know, I've been on dating apps for 5 years, and it's very exhausting. But I've met some amazing people. I met my business partner on Bumble.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Bumble friends or
No.
Bumble dating?
Bumble dating, baby.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys are good friends now.
Good friends. He met his partner, who he loves and adores, at Coco Market.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hook up?
No.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Business and sex don't mesh well together.
No.
So.
But I think it's still a little, you know, it's a strange way to meet somebody that's your business partner, but we would not have worked romantically.
Yeah.
It's not a fit.
I have met people, girls that are friends of mine now that I've never hooked up with, and just, you know, on a dating app. And it's, you know, I'm single. I'm divorced 3 years. So I was married for 6 years. We have a daughter. She's 5. So 50% of my time I'm a dad, right? Yeah. And the other 50% of my time, it's like, well, I mean, the first year was just weird. I mean, I got out of a marriage for the first time. I needed to validate myself. And I'm like dating girls, and they're like, like south of 25. But it was a thing. Like, I needed to validate myself, and it was the most horrible experience in the world. And but whatever, it is what it is. And dating is hard. Like, finding a person that you genuinely have chemistry with and having that connection and intimacy with them, building the intimacy, that's not easy to find.
No.
And when you do, well, then they have to have, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
There. Especially you're in, never mind. I never escalated. I'm in my 30s.
I'm 33.
Okay. Perfect. You're in your 30s. So you're in your 30s too. So it's like a little different as well, because it's just different, you know, and it's tough. It's hard.
I've been in this building phase, you know, building my business and my brand, and really, really focused on that. And also, I'm in like my freedom era. Like, I am so free, and I don't know. I go on a lot of first dates. I don't go on that many second dates. You know, there have been times where I thought I found the guy, and then it just, you know, whether he's like, I want to be in an open relationship, or, you know, I don't know, just things will happen, and then I'm back to square one, and I'm like, I don't even know that I want this. Yeah. And I'm free, and I don't have to answer to anybody.
It's the best.
Really, there's nothing tying me down or holding me back, and I'm really putting it all into my business. But I think that can only happen for so long. You know, I'm in it, like, I have a lot of amazing people in my life. I've got a lot of really, really strong friendships, and, you know, I'm really fulfilled. That, I think, is the difference between when I started dating and when I now, because I think for a long time I was looking for someone to, like, complete me, and someone to, like, make me okay or better or whatever, you know, my other half. And, like, that's not anymore what I'm looking for, because I'm complete and whole just as I am. So now it's like, I don't need someone to fill a hole. You know what I mean? I don't need somebody to, like, fill a gap in my life. I'd like someone to add to my life. And so I'm really particular about who I let in, you know? Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. Someone to add on to your life.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I went through that phase, I think I'm going through it still now, like finding someone to complete me, right? And, you know, my partner, my other half. When
it comes from a place of lack, though.
You're right. You're 100% right. And it's just, you know, are one's expectations when they have that mindset too high?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and everyone's falling short. Everyone they're going on the first date with is just falling short left and right, and
Yeah.
you know, readjusting. So
Yeah.
you're in a healthy headspace as well when it comes to that. That's great to hear.
But I have a hot take on that. I think
Let's hear
that in my experience, the men that I'm meeting are not interested in that. I'm intimidating.
You're intimidating?
I think that the fact that I am not looking for someone to complete me, I'm not looking for someone to come in and rescue me or whatever. Like, I am happy and fulfilled and have a really full life. And I think that that intimidates the men that I've been meeting. Now, I'm not saying all men. I don't know. But I think that I think that it kind of pushes people away a little bit.
Well, I think you're a very nice young lady.
Oh, thank you.
And not intimidating. You have a lot of impressive things going on. But yeah. So do you think the intimidation, the one who is, you know, that's being intimidated as an output action, right? The guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's because they don't have their career lined up and that they're lacking something
Potentially
on their end?
I mean, I think for me, it's like I am a very public person. I know a lot of people. A lot of people know who I am and what I do. And like, sometimes I will go on a date and we'll be walking down the Ave and I'll get stopped by a ton of people. And I think that that's not something every man wants or can handle.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a big deal.
Well, I'm not saying that.
You just know it. You're the mayor of Delray Beach.
Yeah. No,
That's so
but
funny.
yeah.
That's so funny. So if you were able, you got sober at 23.
I did.
If you were able to go back to 22-year-old Corey and give her a piece of advice, what would it be?
I think I would just tell her to hang on. That's all. That it'll get better. I've been asked that question and I've thought about it a lot, and I don't think that there's really anything I would change. So I don't think I would warn myself about anything. It's just the journey, you know? Yeah. That it's gonna be good.
Just
And
keep pushing forward.
Yeah. One day you will wake up and be excited about living.
It's funny, a lot of people always say, I don't think I would change anything. And the advice I would give is, you know, pushing forward and just keep going with it. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.